we had this really good experience at St. Rose. It's something I just want to share with everybody in the parish. Is that part of the spiritual life is supporting one another. And I've been really reflecting on that because we came together as a family this past weekend. And it was amazing to see all of us just kind of come around each other and support each other. And that's so important, both on, a parish level, but also just in the rest of our regular lives, too. One of my favorite authors, his name is C.S. Lewis. You might know him. He did the Narnia series. One of the other books he wrote is one called The Great Divorce. And it sounds like a soap opera. It is not that at all. And believe it or not, it's a story about heaven and hell. A bit of a downer, right? But what he does is he imagines what hell would be like. And for him, it's not, fire and brimstone and devils with tails, but instead it's kind of barren. It's dark and drab and kind of dreary. Think like the worst possible day you could have in Seattle. And I lived out in Seattle for 3 years, so I can tell you there's some pretty nasty, ugly days out there. And the people who are there, they're all kind of spread out. And the funny part is the argument he makes in the whole story that you find out is the people who are in hell aren't in there because they're necessarily bad people. They're not necessarily just because they're bad people, but because at no point did they ever turn around and say, well, I need someone else's help. Because then they try to do it on their own. They kept just making bad decisions. So when they're hell, nobody lives near each other. Everybody gets into fights and arguments when they're around each other. And so instead, they go their own separate ways. On the other side of the story, the narrator ends up going up to heaven. And what he finds there is a lot of these things that people held on to, saying, oh, this has to be me. This is who I am. I have to do this myself. If you're going to get into heaven, that stuff has to be taken away. There's this great story at the end of it. The narrator turns around, and there's a man there with this giant lizard, almost a chameleon, sitting on his shoulder. And the chameleon is whispering in his ear. And that chameleon, as strange as it sounds, is supposed to be sin. Whatever this man was struggling with. And you don't really find out what it is, but what he's struggling with. But what you do hear is the lies that this creature keeps telling this person. And he's then the person gets approached by an angel, and the angel says, well, you can come in, but you have to let him go. You have to let him off of your shoulder. And in order to get in, you're going to have to let me kill it. And the guy kind of goes back and forth and tries to deny it and all these other things. And finally, in a moment of pure courage, he says, yes, go ahead, kill it, please, kill it. And when he does, the chameleon that had been chained to him, that really just made him such kind of a foul person, instead turns into this brilliant steed, this brilliant horse, and the person goes riding off into heaven. And what does that say? I think it says, in a constant reminder, that the Christian life is about community. It's about communion with God and communion with other people. And if we're going to deal with day in and day out those things that we struggle with, because we all have them, even St. Paul said he had a thorn in his side. We all have those. Maybe for some of us it's anger. Some of us it's, maybe we're not necessarily always the most happy people in the world, or whatever it is. The way that we're going to find Christ is within one another. And so I just want to encourage you, go to church this weekend praying for your community, thinking about your community, think about the people you have in this wonderful parish that we've been blessed with, who needs prayer. And when you need prayer, calling up your friends, calling up your family, saying, hey, I've got something I'm struggling with. You don't have to go through any of this alone. We have a great family here at St. Rose, and I want to encourage you all to just to take that and to realize at the end of the day, the person who's most waiting for you to turn around and say, yes, come to me with all your things, I'll help you, is God himself. He's going to get us home. Have a great week. I will see you guys Sunday. God bless you all, and I'll talk to you soon.